Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, text number 10, entitled The Manu's Administrator of the Universe. Atmavasyamidam visvam yad kinchi jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma gridha kasya svidhanam. The word for word meaning. Atma, the super soul. Avasyam, living everywhere. Idam, this universe. Visvam, all universes, all places. Yad, whatever. Kinchit, everything that exists. Jagatyam, in this world, everywhere. Jagat, everything. Inanimate and inanimate. Tena, by him. Tvaktena, allotted. Bhunjitaha, you may enjoy. Ma, do not. Gridraha, accept. Kasya, sweet, of anyone else. Dhanam, the property. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Samaicharan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Having described the situations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as transcendental, Swayambhuva Manu, for the instructions of the sons and the grandsons in his dynasty, is now describing all the property of the universe as belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manu's instructions are not only for his own sons and grandsons, but for all of human society. The word man, or in Sanskrit Manushya, has been derived from the name Manu. For all the members of human society are descendants of the original Manu. Manu is also mentioned in the Bhagavad-Gita 4.1, where the Lord says, Imam vivashvate yogam praktavam imam abhyayam vivashvan manave praha manor ikshvave bravi. I instructed the imperishable science of yoga to the sun gods, Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu, in turn, instructed it to Ikshvaku. Swayambhuva Manu and Vaishvasvata Manu have similar duties. Vaishvasvata Manu was born of the sun god, Vivashvan, and his son was Ikshvaku, the king of the earth. Since Manu is understood to be the original father of humanity, human society should follow his instruction. Swayambhuva Manu instructed that whatever exists not only the spiritual world, but even within this material world, is a property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as a superconsciousness, as confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita 13.3. Kshetragyam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetresu bharata. In every field, in other words, in everybody, the Supreme Lord is existing as a super soul. The individual soul is given a body in which to live and act according to the instructions of the Supreme Person. And therefore, the Supreme Personality also exists within everybody. We should not think that we are independent. Rather, we should understand that we are allotted a certain portion of the total property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This understanding would lead to perfect communism. Communists think in terms of their own nation, but the spiritual communists instructed here is not only nation-wise but universal. Nothing belongs to any nation or any individual person. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the meaning of the verse, Atmavasyam idam vishvam. Whatever exists within this universe is a property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The modern communistic theory and also the idea of the United Nations can be reformed, indeed rectified, by the understanding that everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of God. The Lord is not a creation of our intelligence. Rather, He has created us. Atmavasyam idam vishvam. Isavasyam idam sarvam. This universal communism can solve all the problems of the world. One should learn from the Vedic literature that one's body is also not the property of the individual soul, but is given to the individual soul according to his karma. Karmana daiva netrena jantur deho papataye. The 8,400,000 different bodily forms or machine given to the individual soul. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita 18.61. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam hridade sarjuna tisthati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantraruddhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directed to the wandering of all the living entities who are seated as on our machine, made of material energy. The Lord as a super soul sits in everyone's heart and observes the various desires of the individual soul. The Lord is so merciful that He gives the living entity the opportunity to enjoy varieties of desire in suitable bodies, which are nothing but machines. Yantra rudhani mayaya. These machines are manufactured by the material ingredients of the external energy, and thus the living entity enjoy or suffer according to his desire. This opportunity is given by the super soul. Everything belongs to the Supreme, and therefore one should not usurp another property. We have a tendency to manufacture many things, especially nowadays. We are building skyscraper and developing other material facilities. We should know, however, that the ingredients of the skyscraper and machine cannot be manufactured by anyone but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The whole world is nothing but the combinations of the five elements. Tejo, Vari, Mridam, Yatha, Vinimaya. Skyscraper is a transformation of earth, water, and fire. Earth and water are combined and burned into brick by fire. And a skyscraper is essentially a tall construction of brick. Although the brick may be manufactured by man, the ingredients of the bricks are not. Of course, man, as manufacturer, may accept the salary from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is stated here. That is stated here. Tena tattena bhunjita. One may construct a big skyscraper, but neither the constructor, the merchant, nor the worker can claim proprietorship. Proprietorship belongs to the person who has spent for the building. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has manufactured water, earth, air, fire, and the sky. And one can use these and take a salary. Tena tvaktena bhunjita. However, one cannot claim proprietorship. This is a perfect communism. Our tendency to construct great buildings should be used only for constructing large and valuable temple in which to install the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then our desire for construction would be fulfilled. Since all property belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything should be offered to the Lord, and we should take only prasad. Tena tvaktena bhunjita. We should not fight among ourselves to take more than we need. As Narada said to Maharaj Yudhishthira, Yavad bhriyatena jatharam tavad sattvam hi dehinam adhikamyo bhimasyeta sasteno dandam arhati. One may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain the body and soul together. But one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief. And he deserves to be punished by the law of nature. Bhagavatam 7.14.8. Of course, we need to maintain in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending ahara nidra bhai maithuna. But since the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has provided these necessities of life for the bird and bees, why not for human being? There are no need for economic development. Everything is provided. Therefore, one should understand that everything belongs to Krishna. And with this idea, one may take prasad. However, if one interfere with the allotments of others, he is a thief. One should not accept more than what we actually need. Therefore, if by chance we get an abundance of money, we should always consider that it belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, we are getting sufficient money. But we should never think that the money belongs to us. It's belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be equally distributed to the workers, the devotees. No devotee should claim that any money or property belongs to him. If one thinks that any portions of property of this huge universe belong to anyone, he is to be considered a thief and is punishable by the law of nature. Daivi hi esa gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. No one can surpass the vigilance of the material nature or hide his intention from the material nature. If human society unlawfully claim that the property of the universe, either partially or wholly, belong to mankind, all of human society will be caused as the society of thieves and will be punished by the law of nature. That's what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is all about. I skipped the translation.
Long purpose, you got excited.
So we leave the translation. I'm sorry, I was just carried away by the purport and Prabhupada. So powerful. Translation. Within this universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His Super Soul feature, is present everywhere. Wherever they are inanimate or inanimate beings, therefore, one should accept only that which is allotted to him. One should not desire to infringe upon the property of others. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakhaya Chakshurmilitam Jenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurun Sri Yuda Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Vishwabhanusute Deve Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So first of all, we'd like to beg for the mercy of the senior devotee. We'd like to beg the mercy of Panchagora Prabhu and other senior devotee who are sitting around, just to encourage me so I can talk a little bit about Srimad Bhagavatam. The mercy of the Vaishnava, it is something which makes things move. There's nothing move in spiritual life, particularly, without the mercy of the Vaishnava. So, begging the mercy from the Vaishnava, I would like to begin. This verse is so wonderful. In fact, before joining ISKCON, I learned this verse. When I used to go to the Shivala means the temple, and the priests used to teach us these verses. And when today, I came across, remember that I learned these verses long dated. It's a wonderful verse. It has to do very deeply within the heart of a sadhaka, that we should not at any circumstances think that in this material world there's something which is known as our belonging. It should be very crystal clear, very clear. And if we work on this principle that nothing belongs to us, then there is no problem whatsoever. All the problem that we are facing, even though coming to Krishna consciousness, which basically has been given something, newly joined, Krishna consciousness Kevala Ananda Kanda, with due respect. But that's not a reality when we go through spiritual life. So while going to spiritual life, there's many things which would come, and if it is not being addressed properly, then we lose opportunity. Like Chanakya Pandit says, time and tide wait for none. So sadhaka has to be very, very cautious of whatsoever time, whatsoever dealing, whatsoever interaction that we have. It has to be done wholly solely for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of God. Once Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's disciple, he went for book distribution. At that time there was a small magazine which is known as Toshani. But very hard to distribute literature at that time. People were so, with due respect, arrogant. The moment you approach someone, they say, well, I know. In Hindi they would say, para hai. It's lying down there. So then we say in Hindi, padha hai. Bola nahi para hai. So we say, have you read the scriptures? And no, it's there. My great-grandfather has kept this literature very safely. I say, have you opened it? He said, no, it's there. So, para hai, parhani. I'm sorry, in Hindi they would get it exactly. It's difficult to express in English because, So then, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj pushes his disciple, you go. But Gurudev is very hard to distribute books. But doesn't matter, you go. You would tell someone about Krishna. Say, yeah, that one will tell you. Say, you go. So they distributed hardly 1 or 2 copies. So while returning back, one brahmachari, he bought some soap, something to be used, personal belonging, whatever, So when he came, he offered Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj the balance of the money. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj looked at him directly, piercing the eyes of the heart. And the disciple becomes so, tense. He said, why Gurudev is looking at me like this? He said, are you hiding something from me? He said, no. He said, okay, how many books have you distributed? He said, well, 2 books. But how much money did you give me? Only that much. What about the rest? Oh, I forgot to tell you. I have used some of the money. I have bought something for the temple. For whom? For the temple. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj becomes so furious and kind of spiritual anger. He said, no way you should do that. But Gurudev, it's meant for the temple. But he should not do that. Then he explained. He said, Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can digest anything and everything. What he can do? He can digest anything and everything. We can't digest. Even though it's being done for the purpose of the temple, even though it's being done for the purpose of preaching, even though it's being done indirectly, not for me, but for the temple. But still, it has to come, like Prabhupada used to say, the money has to be deposited and the money to be taken out and being used. Because Lakshmi is known as Chanchala. And Lakshmi is basically being used by different people in a different mode, in different ways. And Lakshmi has occurred karmic reaction, in one sense, because it's being used unlawfully or illegally. Like Modi has banned money within the night. Completely the whole, practically world, especially India, there was shock. What has he done? Because he was meditating. The money which is being used illegally would cause trouble in the society. We may have certain kind of sun gratification in the beginning, like in the beginning it may be sweet, but it may turn bitter. It would turn bitter after all. So that's why the sadhaka has to be very, very cautious. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj explained that we must not try to become Ravana. We must not become what? Whom? We should not. We must not try to become Ravana. What is the mood of Ravana? The mood of Ravana is to take Lakshmi or Sita away from Ram. That's a mood. And the moods of Hanuman is to bring back Sita Devi back to the lotus feet of Ramchandra. So the sadhaka being part and parcel, Mama Vaishya Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, being part and parcel, as part we have no other whatsoever desire to act just as a servant. That minute independence which the Lord has given us is just to choose the Lord as master. Otherwise, we haven't given any choice. Any living entities who tend to work on this principle that I am the master, the enjoyer, then he's suffering deadly. Isn't it? The suffering. Like the Vaishnava song goes as follows. Jiva Krishna Das E Biswas Karle Tora Dukhanai. If we, with certain percentage, if you understand that we are part and parcel of Krishna and we are the servant of Krishna, Jiva Krishna Das E Biswas, we may be whatever years in ISKCON with due respect. But being in Krishna consciousness as per the Prabhupada is to acquire the knowledge which has been given by Krishna. And if this knowledge is not being acquired, not being realized, and not being applied in our day-to-day life, then we are no more in Krishna consciousness. We may be wearing dhoti, we may be wearing sari, we may be applying tilak, we may be citing many verses. If a little bit that principle of me and mine come in between, then we are nowhere. So how subtle these are. Like we run a car on the highway, say for example 80 or 100 km per hour, and you have an accident, a disaster, isn't it? Think about the mind run, whatever speed you could think about, the speed of the mind, you can't even judge how fast the mind goes. And if the mind have an accident, then what? Finish. So how much the mind is to be controlled, how much the mind is to be checked and balanced every day. Am I Krishna Das or Maya Das? It's a very, very fine line in between. Either Krishna Das or Maya, because satisfaction is both way. When the living entities, they try to satisfy the senses, when the living entities try to satisfy the senses, which is, being labeled as karma, which is labeled as karma. When the same living entity is trying to satisfy the senses of Krishna, that is known as prema. So karma and prema, if you see, there's no much different. That's why the living entities, when the word sadhu is being uttered, immediately there's another word which is being given. Sadhu, saudhan. Sadhu, saudhan. Saudhan means be cautious. Because spiritual life, it is understood as walking on the edge of a razor blade. You know how serious spiritual life should be. And when spiritual life is not being taken as seriously, then what happened? Then we be carried away by many things. Like Prabhupada has given such a lengthy purport. But the bottom line Prabhupada is mentioning is, we should not acquire more than which is necessary. That's the bottom line. What does that mean? Does that mean only money? It's applied to each and everything that we do. The way we talk, the way we eat, the way we dress, the way we communicate, the way we deal with the body, we should not overdo. Once what happened, there was a big bag, it's a heavy loaded truck was moving on the highway. Obviously there was rice and dals and whatever it is, the raw material. And so happened one bag fell down from the truck. And the whole thing gets scattered. Some other small animal came and, ate a few handfuls. Some bird came, eats few grains. But when this animal, two-legged animal, driving on the car, he came, he saw a bag of rice fallen down. And he picked the whole bag and put in the car. So you could understand, how dangerous this animal is. Very, very dangerous. If you let yourself in the jungle, if a tiger has to eat you, you know, I'm finished. I know. But if we are attacked by this animal, you don't even know what they're going to do with you. They may chop you into pieces, put you in a bag, and do whatever, you know, put some achar, pickles, and send you out. Like in certain country, they eat delicacy, like, you know, as a small baby within the womb. You know, there's abortion, and then you use that. So what I mean is, I just want to drive out, this animal can go to whatever extent. So Prabhupada, you know, mentioning about how important these factors are, because no one among us, we can do anything, or we can't refrain of doing anything. We got to do something. We got to talk, we got to eat, there's many things that we have to do, because we can't stay without doing anything. So then what we have to do? Like in a famous verse in the Nectar of Instruction, it is explained, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpaniyamagraha janasanga chalolyam cha sadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati o vinashyati. But it seems to be reverse. Devotee will overeat, devotee will talk prajalpa, devotee will do all the things which is prevent. Like when the father tells the son not to do that, the son will do it, the small baby. Better you don't do that, he will do it. Like Prabhupada, you know, son was small, he wanted to touch the fan, and the mother was to drag the son, and he will go back again. He again drag the son, he will go back again. Prabhupada said, let him go. And when the son went and put the finger, and he started like, you know, screaming. He said, now you got to know, there's something dangerous. So the sadhaka has to understand, ati ahar, it is very, very essential. Like sometimes, it's practically, you know, when we sat down in the prasadam hall, it's good to be practical. When you're sitting in the prasadam hall, sometimes you find devotee, they overtake, and 101% they won't be able to eat. They will leave something. So now, while doing so, what happened? That person is preventing a devotee of having his share. It is not the overeating, it is you're causing a Vaishnava pride because of your overeating. So a small thing, but causes so many damages. One thing that we need to understand, when we offend Krishna, that can be mitigated. When we offend Krishna, we can chant the holy name of the Lord, and Krishna will take out the offenses. But when we offend the Vaishnava, then there's no other chances. Nahi paritran. So each activities that we do, it has to be for the pleasure of the devotee. Ultimately, when the devotee are pleased, then Krishna is pleased. So, what happened once, because Prabhupada and the Prabhupada was mentioning one thing, so we got 14 more minutes to go. Prabhupada mentioned about once what happened in a village. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj mentioned this story. It's good to talk story, because when it's philosophy, then the eyes close down and then, you know, this meditation. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj cited this story. Once what happened in the village, within the house of someone, a family member happened to die. It's obviously when the member of the family died, it's so much painful. People cry, especially in India, they beat the heart and cry like nothing. So while crying, they felt so much. And then what they have done, they just shaved out and wear a white cloth. That's a custom in India, am I right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 family members shaven head and wear the white cloth. And the neighbor, because seeing them so pitiably, they're crying restlessly, you know. And then when they look at them, they say, oh my God, I should participate in their sorrow. They also shave their head and wear the white cloth. So the family member and the neighbor, they have become Hare Krishnas. Shaven head, and white. There's no brahmachari, it's white. Seeing this family, neighbor, the whole village, because they felt it was so, touchy, they said, let we also contribute. They also shave their head and wear the white cloth. Seeing one village, the other village also, they said, Baba, wo kar rahe, hum kyun na kare? There's a famous saying, if the person is doing, I should do as well. Dekha dekhi wali baat, when we see, we believe on what we see, isn't it? So then, the village, one village, and the second village, a third, fourth, 5, 10 village, and then the whole citizen, they convert into Hare Krishnas. That's wonderful, isn't it? And that message went to the king, because of a kingly, administrator. So the king, when he looked at it, my whole citizens are converting to what must be someone very, very important, must be someone, a great sage somewhere, to whom they wanted to offer their whatever it is. And the king called the minister, Baba, bring razor, karo mundan bhai. But the minister was intelligent. Raja, king, before you do that, shall we not check it up? Okay, maybe a big personality, very saintly person. The king said, okay, I can't deny you, you're my advisor. So the king set forth and went to that place, because from one village to second village, the third, and finally reached the village where the origin, the person died. And the whole house was filled with people, and they were crying, lamenting, shedding tears. And the king said, I must have darshan of that person. I must have for my perfection. And he went, because obviously when the king reached somewhere, there's a special, welcome for the king. And the king went to the place, and there was a, white cloth were being put upon the dead body. And the king, with all the awe and reverence and all the bhavas, he said, oh my God, I'm so fortunate to have darshan such a person. And finally he ordered, I must have darshan of that person. And here you go. When the cloth were removed and the king fell unconscious. You must be saying that it must be a long beard and a lot of shiny, because such a Siddha Mahapurush. But unfortunately it was a donkey. It was what? It was a donkey. For this family, the donkey was the money making. It was the machine. The monkey used to work and they get the money and they used to enjoy. And the monkey died, everything collapsed. They cry, they lament. But just seeing that person was lamenting. Other person, acha ro rahe ho. And especially in India, when one lady cry in the market, you'll find 10 ladies will cry. And then finally he said, why are you crying? He said, I'm crying because, I don't know, I'm just crying. And the people say, oh, I'm also crying, I don't know what. Because seeing people crying, the lesson to be learned from this story, we should not do anything just because people are doing. Some devotees are applying tilak whatsoever, some devotees trying to do something like this, and then we just end up doing it. Why? Because that devotee is doing. Is it shastric? Is it authentic? We must check. If we don't do that, then we end up crying for someone who's a donkey. It's not a good thing to do, isn't it? So that's why Prabhupada mentioned over here, we got to be very, very careful. Now, many at the time you would find, like when we pursue on our Krishna consciousness, we may end up in many, many difficulties. I believe all of us must have gone through. Am I right? Yes, no? Yes, everyone must have gone through, especially me. And the moment we undergo difficulty is that moment we start showing finger to everyone. Am I right? Because of him, he's the one. And there's so much to speak about, because once we start talking about someone, this is when you will find devotee becomes so energetic, so enthusiastic when we talk about other devotee. That not in a positive way, but in a negative way. Am I right? When some negative thought goes around, we become so alert. I never seen anyone sleeping when worship is going on. Have you seen anyone sleeping? No. Because it becomes so enlivened. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj cited a very nice story in this regard. He said once what happened, there was a 5 finger, they were fighting among each others. Who were fighting among each others? I said, Prabhu, what are you talking? I said, yes. The 5 finger was fighting among each others, proving who is great. Proving what? Who is great. But there was a passerby, and seeing they were fighting, he said, well, what's the reason you're fighting? He said, well, you're the right person. Can you just tell us who is great? I said, provided you describe what your greatness are, how would I be able to tell you? So, respectfully, each finger starts describing the greatness. The small finger says, whenever we have to greet anyone, I'm the one stand in the front. Therefore, I am great. And the second one said, wait a minute, what did you say? Would you like to listen how I'm great? He said, whenever anyone spends so much money, make a finger ring, or 100,000s or whatever thousands, they just come and put it on my head. Put it on my head. So therefore I'm great. Are you catching the point? The first one said, when you greet anyone, I'm the one who normally face everyone. Second one said, because I'm being put this jewel on my head, so I'm great. The third one said, well, there's nothing to describe about me. Just look at me. You would see who's great. I stand, come on, higher than anyone. It's self-described. And the fourth one said, hey, you're talking so much. You guys talk so much. Would you listen to me? I say, yeah. Would you listen to me? I say, yes. Whenever you need to command, it's me who command. Who command? It's me. Therefore, I'm great. And the fifth one said, well, because I'm fat, you guys are trying to, make a laughing, just to. And the fifth one says, well, can you believe me? Can you listen to me? He said, well, can you describe? He said, would you be able to eat ice cream? An ice cream without me? Would you be able to eat an ice cream without the thumb? Yes, no? No. And all of them say, well, do you mean that you're great? He said, I'm not great if you guys are not with me. I also am not great if you people are not with me. When Prabhupada mentioned, in the last days, Prabhupada mentioned, your love will be shown to me on how much you cooperate to each other's. That mean a lot. That mean a lot. We need to work on it. We need to work on it in order to understand. Why Prabhupada has to say something like this at the end? He could have spoken about Rasa Tattvas. Am I right? He could have spoken something which is very, very high. Why he had to mention this? Because it's bound to happen. And the statement goes, unite we stand, divide we fall. Unite we stand, divide we fall. Whatsoever it is. If that principle is not being applied, let's say for example, we are known as Prabhupada Army. Am I right? Yes, no? Prabhupada Army? Now in Prabhupada Army, if one soldier has been injured on the battlefield, soldier means battlefield. We are the soldier, we are fighting against Maya. Am I right? And on the battlefield, it's bound to be fiery, it's bound to be bombarding, it's bound to be injured. What about if you find a fellow, same group, and being injured? What would we do? Would we take a stone and They say, you should be like this. No, we never do like this. What we would do, we would take the person and go to the medical camp and assist whatever way we can assist. But why it is like this? When devotee having difficulty, Maya hurt that person, because it's bound to happen. Why, when some devotee have some difficulty, we tend to just pull the leg of that person instead of bringing that person to medical camp, mean Krishna Katha and some philosophy, just to console that person, make the person feel comfortable. Don't worry, we are with you. We are the same as Prabhupada's soldier. But instead of helping that person, if we just go on criticizing that person, leg pulling of that person, so forth, so then where do we stand? It is just like, everyone try to massage Prabhupada, and while seeing others massaging harder, and that other person start pressing Prabhupada even harder. You say, you're pressing harder, I'll go up, even harder than you. Would Prabhupada be pleased? Yes, no. Prabhupada would not be pleased. If all of us, at the end of the day when we retire from our active activities, we don't sit down next to Prabhupada and tell Prabhupada what we have done, would we be able, if you criticize the devotee around and backbiting, fault-finding, would we be able to sit in front of Prabhupada and tell Prabhupada? Prabhupada is not a murti. He's sitting here. He's watching all of us. That's why it is explained, Paramatma witness. Where the purport goes, Paramatma witness. It is explained in the darker, like a night, Amavasya. On a darker night, Amavasya, on a black stone, a black ant is walking. Are you able to grasp? Amavasya, black night. On a black stone, a black ant are walking. No one can see, but he sees. We can't hide. Our devotee is the one, when they have the opportunity to do something nasty when no one is around, when the devotee prevent themselves not to do it, that devotee is advanced in spiritual life. And that's basically we can judge each other's. It is explained, to the degree our material desire is getting diminished, is to that degree our spiritual desire is increasing. So we can check ourselves. When we see a devotee, do we feel happy? Do we feel joyful when we see a devotee? Or we, when we have a dona or prasad, which can be distributed into 1,000 pieces, anyway, we will not be able to fill our belly with this small, whatever it is, but we can distribute that in 1,000, in 100. Do we feel that? That's part and parcel of Krishna. The Prabhupada family. Come on, with joy and distribute it. If no, then there's a big problem somewhere. We need to work it out. And if we don't do that, then there's such a wonderful opportunity that we are getting. We will not be able to make the best use of it. So we'd like to just, with the permission, end up over here. And if anyone has a question, especially comment, Panchaguru Prabhu can.
See, this verse says that we should accept only that which cannot go to him. So I have a practical question is, I have heard this several times, So especially, let's say a person makes X amount of money, that he has to just keep what is required for him, and then he has to donate or maybe some fixed percentage to the spiritual activity. So what is the algorithm, what is the math there? Because typically we try to keep more with us and maybe some portion we try to give. And see, internally like we are trying to cheat. We know that we can give more, but we don't give. And so how do we what is the math? What is the practical solution for it? What does the scripture say about it? How should one, in such situation, how should one behave? What should this action
Thank you. If I understood your question properly, you mean to say we are working, we are professional people, and then obviously when we're working, we get some, pay. And once we get the pay, then how should it be distributed, or how should we? This is what your question, the big. As the verses goes, the verses says that each individual has to do something for their living. If you read the purport, someone must do something. Now when we try to execute, because maintaining or whatever ashram you are in, and when you're working, you got some chances to work more, like in the corporate world is like this. More time you give, more money you get. The sadhaka, how would we be able to understand? So far, our spiritual life is not being hampered. So far, our spiritual life is not being hampered. You're able to chant your 16 round, read Prabhupada books for some time, associate with devotee. Then the rest of the time, Prabhupada used to say that this service should be done as what? The service has to be done in order to please Krishna. The service, even whatever you're doing professionally, it has to be done for the pleasure of Krishna. So how would we be able to do that? And whatever we are getting at the end of the months, because this is what we are looking for, 30 days of working hard, or whatever, 28 days, whatever we are getting in our hand, that should be offered to Krishna. Now what's the proportion? That's a question you're asking. What's the proportion we should offer? When you take out whatever expenses it is for your house, you have X amount of expenses for your house. Whatever is left over, that should be divided into two. 50% of leftover beside the expenses should be saved for the emergencies. And that 50% should be distributed in Krishna consciousness for the progress, for the upliftment of the society. That's what our acharyas mention about it. But with due respect, very few devotees are able to do that. Because a devotee is the one who learns how to give. A devotee is the one who learns how to give. Like Kolavicha Sridhar. She's an example. Very poor, down to earth. See the house he was living, a small hut. Practically water was penetrating. When there's rainy season, he couldn't even hide himself. The cloth he was wearing, completely torn out. But Gauranga Mamu say you're the richest person. You're Lakpati. He say you're trying to make fun out of me. He said no, you're the real Lakpati. He distributed the earning, you see, 50% in whatever Ganges, it's ultimately Krishna's service, and the 50% he kept for himself. That's how it should be divided. I hope you get me. Expenses of the house, genuinely. Then the leftover 50% goes for emergency, you're saving, and the 50% should be given to Krishna consciousness. In this way, what will happen? You would not occur karmic reaction. Yat karosi yat asnasi yat jahosi dadati yat tapasyasi kontaya tat kurusamadharpanam. In this way, you will be free from the auspicious and inauspicious result. 9th chapter, text 27 and 28, it describes about this, how should we render these services. Hope I address. Thank you so much.
You were speaking about sadhu savdhan. Sadhu savdhan, and other side is sadhu shaitan also. In the dress of sadhu, sometimes we see shaitan. This one comment. And another comment, you were giving the story of that everybody was trying to see this one donkey. King came and found out it is a donkey. So similar way, what the Prabhupada gave us that we should always treat people as Hare Krishna. And now see whether we are following that one or not. We are also changing it, we are also saying like the story we are doing. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just to add up with Prabhuji for 1 second. Prabhuji was saying that sadhu, saitan. If the person is saitan, he can't be sadhu. If the person is saitan, can't be sadhu. We can't say saitan sadhu. We can't say bogus guru. Either he's a guru or he's not a guru. So thank you so much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम खे परिद पावन शिला प्रभुपाद खे हृदय गौर प्रेमानंदे।